All right, welcome.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to day two of the brick and mortar, master brick and mortar, day two boot camp.
The tongue twister there.
Tongue twister. I always want to say throw it out to the podcast, but thanks for joining us again today. Hope everybody enjoyed yesterday. I'm not as sore as I am usually from doing boot camp. Ha 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 ha. But I know, but we're excited nonetheless. My name is Kyle Strubing. I am coming to you live from Flower Mound, Texas. Once again, this is my life partner and business partner, Joanne Mester, soon to be Strubing. Jojo, babe, how we doing today?
I'm pumped. Yesterday was phenomenal. The chat was on fire. You guys had some incredible reasons why you were showing up to this boot camp. And I loved all the different ideas on businesses that you're opening or in the process of opening or have already opened. It was so inspiring, and I'm so excited to be back here for day two.
Yeah, the questions were fantastic too at the end. I thought it was great. Hopefully everybody got some value out of that for sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
So you ready to get started, or what do you want to do?
Yes,
Go over some
we-
housekeeping and then get rocking and rolling again.
Yes, so we are on day two of the boot camp. We've got a ton of information to get through with you today, but we are going to focus on the 4 key decisions to building a foundation for your business. These decisions will really help you make every decision moving forward much more clearly. Tomorrow, we're coming back with a super important lesson on how to find a profitable location for your business. You don't want to miss this lesson. It's probably one of the most important topics. One of the biggest reasons we see people fail in their brick and mortar businesses is often because of the location they choose. So you don't want to be that person. Show up live with us tomorrow. And then Friday, we're coming back to you with information on how to fund your business, where you can find that funding to make that a little easier for you. And we've got a bonus training on Monday on how to create that experience in your business. So got a lot left in this boot camp. I hope you're in the chat. And Abriana is our community manager. She'll be answering your questions in there. She's on Team Brick and Mortar. So let us know if you've got anything. All right, we want to know, what is your one takeaway from yesterday? If you watched the replay, if you joined us live, what's one thing that you took away from yesterday that you found valuable? So let us know in the chat.
What was one thing you learned yesterday?
Well, I think for me, it was really valuable to hear the questions that were asked. It's always great to know like where people are getting stuck and what they're finding challenging. So I learned so much from hearing what everybody is wondering and what questions that they have.
One thing I took away, definitely one thing I took away was kind of the mindset. We're so focused on X and O's. The question about having the anxiety about a 5-year lease, that was certainly eye-opening to me. And I definitely, it wasn't eye-opening, but it's something I took with me and I've been contemplating. And I've been contemplating, in the last 24 hours. So I definitely enjoyed that. I thought that was interesting.
I love this.
The questions are coming in. What do we got? Or
Here, the
the answers, I'm sorry.
some of
not
the
the
cons
answers.
on the service model, how to research, how to stay informed regarding your industry. I think that's so
Yeah.
valuable. Making sure your business is right in your area, learning what type of business you are. So powerful. Make sure that the business you choose is something you truly enjoy. Yes.
Yes, Amanda,
Awesome.
yes.
I'm
for
so
sure.
glad that you guys took
Cool.
away those things. We have a ton more for you today. So let's dive in. If you haven't downloaded the workbook, make sure you do that. I believe Abriana put that in the chat, but those lessons coincide with each day so that you can take what you're learning and put it into action. So make sure you take advantage of that. And don't forget to turn off all those distractions. You've invested in yourself to be here today. So try to stay with us live, be active in the chat, and let's take advantage of this time together. All right, so today are the 4 key decisions that you need to make. Even if your business is already open, or if you don't even know for sure what type of business you want to open, you can find value from today's presentation. We're going to be diving into 4 decisions that are going to help you lay a foundation for your business. Consider this your business planning phase. We're going to walk you through those decisions and help you make them more clearly so that every decision afterwards you can make much more tangibly and tactfully. Anything to add there?
No, it's a great building block. There's one part in particular that's my favorite that I talk about all the time. So I'm definitely excited for this.
Awesome. All right, so by the end of today's workshop, you will have learned the 4 key decisions that you need to lay a solid foundation for your business. These decisions will help you gain clarity, direction, and momentum as you move forward. Stay with us till the end. Today we have a giveaway for you. We are giving away 2 Amazon gift cards, but you have to be on live with us. So stay with us. And then we're also going to dive into some Q&A again. So put those questions in the chat if you have them, and we'll be answering them. Any topic.
Any topic, nothing off the
table.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, so if you were on yesterday, we went over the different types of businesses. So what type of business are you going to open? We want to see, put it in the comments. Let's see, so our first business, we were retail, and then we wound up opening a service model business. And so we had that combination of both. Jewelry, love it.
Retail,
Got
right?
Retail
Services,
vintage home decor. So
specialty,
retail and service based, crafting supply store. How fun. Specialty bakery, do it yourself candle bar services, coffee cafe, bakery.
There we go.
Foster care home, what's that? Cosmetics, women clothing boutique. That's great. Board game cafe, how fun. I love this. Retail furniture and goods, focused on BIPOC women, love that. Retail and service, embroidery. Wow, so many cool things. I think somebody asked us yesterday if we had ever heard of a cereal bar, and I did go back and look that up, and it looked super cool. So if you are opening one in the DFW area, let us know. We'll come visit. Kyle's a big cereal fan.
I do like cereal.
And it was really cool, the creations people were putting together in the pictures. Smoke lounge, love
there
it.
You are, Corey. Heck yeah.
Yes, that was so cool. Starting in Orlando. All right. Well, we do have family in Florida, so maybe we'll be around.
Yeah. Come through and check it out.
Awesome. All right. So I just want to remind you that I know some of these things seem foundational and very basic, but a little bit of progress on your business every day can add up to huge results. So these little steps, if you just take a little step of one action every day, they add up quickly. And before you know it, you'll be standing in your dream storefront. So where we're going today, we're going to go start with decision number 1, which is going to be selecting your location radius. We're going to show you how to do that. Then we're going to be going into decision number 2, which is how to define your niche. Yesterday, we went over the importance of differentiating yourself. So we're going to show you how to do that. And then decision number 3 is your ideal customer avatar. We're going to show you exactly how to create your ideal customer so you know who you need to be marketing to, who you need to be creating your store, everything.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Down to the, like you said earlier, down to the colors of the paint.
Yes.
It's pretty
huge
important.
one. Probably one of the most important things that you can do in the beginning. And then number 4 is developing your budget. We've got some tools for you to help you do that. And then we're going to wrap it up with some Q&A. So if you're excited, give us a yes in the chat and we will just get going here. I'm pumped. All right. Let's start with decision number 1, which is choosing your location radius.
This is me. I'm up here. All right. So let's take a pause. Tomorrow's module is going to be all about finding and securing a location. So we're not going to jump ahead on this. This is more of, choosing the demographic type thing in your general proximity. Finding people that are going to, be able to afford the thing, there's definitely a lot to it, but not, I think of a little bit more macro as opposed to micro. But tomorrow we will go over that micro aspect too, which is just as important too, for sure. So
tomorrow we're going into exactly what to look for in a specific location. Today, we're just talking about the general area, how to choose that general area to focus your efforts on. So what we do, we use a marker of a 5-mile radius. That's typically what we refer to. And, it's not anything that's cold, hard, steadfast, but we just like to, if somewhere that much better is 7 miles, it is what it is. But we generally like to focus on a 5-mile radius. It's something that we've used with all the stores to help us kind of drill down what it is, like I said, on that micro level. So for example, there's our store in Capel, our city in Capel.
And so if you see there, it encapsulates, we knew about where we were gonna go. We wanted to go based off of demographics and where we lived and stuff like that at the time, that we wanted to be in Flower Mound, Capel, Grapevine. Multiple reasons to it, one of which is that there's DFW's major airport is right there, so we knew we could take advantage of a lot of traffic. Flower Mound and Grapevine and Capel are also very well-to-do areas. So we knew the area, we had connections there. We knew we wanted to be in there. Clean city, the whole nine. It was just somewhere that we embraced. We liked the community. We liked the speed of the community. It was a little bit more established, I think, as well, was one thing. Like some areas in DFW are super, super new, which is great to grow with expansion, but we just wanted to make the play on something a little bit more established in the neighborhood.
So the idea here is we see that circle, that's our 5 mile radius. If we would have said, we're just looking for a location in DFW, DFW is huge. Like we could have been stuck and paralyzed and overwhelmed looking for locations for years. I mean, it's really overwhelming. So the goal that we want you to do is try to narrow down your search efforts to just 5 miles so that you're not so overwhelmed and you can really focus on that specific market and who you're targeting and help you get more clear on that.
So narrowing your search is going to help you find and select a location a lot faster and more efficiently. Like Joanne said, you're just kind of lasering in on that specific area and not discounting anything if something comes up, but you want to kind of have a good starting point. So how to select a radius? Like I mentioned earlier, demographics that match your ideal customer. And we're going to talk about that ideal customer in a little bit here. But you want to make sure that you have demos that match your ideal customer. Some things just might not add up to what you're looking to do.
Yeah, some communities are
Yeah.
naturally older communities,
Sure.
and maybe you're targeting a trendy young community. So
Right.
you want to think about that.
Absolutely. So you want to definitely go through and research population and research average household income as well. All of this stuff is very available. I mean, it's simple Google search, Capel demographics, and you can look and say, bam, 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 bam. And it's all right there for you.
Yeah.
Breakdowns of any number of demographic you can think of. I mean, race, color, creed, fitness level, who knows? I mean, so much information.
You get pretty detailed
Yeah.
these days. All right.
So also, if you're in a more rural area, we generally we beef it up to like 3x, so it's about 10 to 15 miles, because people are just more used to traveling. I know that some of the stores in the outskirts definitely pull from multiple communities too as well. So
Yeah.
feel free to leverage that and use that as a marker as well.
Yeah. If you are in a more rural area, you want to widen your search efforts because you're not going to have as much available. So don't feel like you have to stick to that 5 marker. All right, let's move on to decision number 2. So for decision number 1, we want you to go and try to find that 5 mile radius. Try to narrow those search efforts to what am I going to start looking for and where. Moving on to decision number 2 is defining your niche and differentiating yourself. Yesterday, we talked a lot about how we had competition come in. We have like 7 competitors within a mile from us. And one of the biggest reasons that we have never seen a large dip in our revenue and have actually seen it grow year over year is because we have found a way to differentiate ourselves by defining our niche. So by defining your niche, you can tailor your products and services better. You can provide a better in-store experience that meets the needs of your specific target market so that you can provide something unique that people can't find anywhere else. And that is the goal with defining your niche and differentiating yourself, is having something that your business offers that they can't find anywhere else. All right, so what are the benefits of defining your niche? First is obviously you're going to stand out and never have to worry about competition coming in, because even if competition comes in, you know that you're doing something different or you offer a specialty that they don't. Second thing is you will start to build loyal customer base. Kyle and I always say we don't have customers, we have fans, because we have created an experience in our store that is so exhilarating that people can't help but like fall in love with this. And this isn't to toot our own horn, this is to tell you that that's possible for you to do for your business. So having that differentiation niche, sorry,
Yeah.
defining that niche will allow you to do that.
And then your customers are from that niche and they're just so much more loyal because it's a lot more, it's just a lot more personal.
Yes.
It relates on a whole nother level.
It's also going to help you streamline your operations because you're going to know
Right.
exactly where to focus your efforts. If you know that your niche or specialty is a specific product, specific service, or specific experience, everything you can do can be tailored around that. So knowing this will help you move forward in your business. So I want a lot of people, when we start to talk about niche, they think that they have to have a niche in specific products. Like my specialty is, massages or a product, but it can also be an experience. Like, for example, your niche is the customer service that you provide. Maybe it's a one-on-one consultative experience. Think of experiences as well as products or services or expertise. So how do you go about defining your niche? First thing I want you to do is go research your competition. Go find out what they do well and what they do not do well. One of my favorite ways to do this is go to my competitors' reviews. And I will go click on their 1 to 2 star reviews and see if there are 4 or 5 people saying this store never has shorts available, they only have dresses,
Right.
or their selection sucks, or their customer service is awful. If there's multiple people saying that, then that's a gap that you could go fill.
Right.
Go look at the reviews and then also look at their great reviews. What are they doing really well at? So maybe you can say, okay, they are already doing really well at, at providing a customer service. So I'm going to take it a step further and try to really tailor my experience to go above and beyond that.
I will say when we look at those reviews, most of them are just poor interactions with staff, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
it's the little details, right?
Yeah,
It just
shows
really,
you how important
how
those
important it is.
interactions
Yeah.
are. Another thing you can do is like go visit your competitors in person. We do that as well. We go see how they do things, and it helps us understand what needs there are. A lot of times we'll be like, man, they didn't do anything.
Offered us a sample
Yeah.
or whatever, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the second thing that I want you to think about, is there a product or service that complements your core business? So when we first opened up, we started with just CBD products. And so we were thinking about, as a whole, what is our market? Why are people coming in? Who's our target market? And we're going to go through your ideal customer in a minute, but these were people that were wanting to feel better. They were wanting better wellness routine. They were wanting anything that was natural.
And relief, really, is what it was.
Mhm.
They really wanted relief.
Yeah, anything natural, like a service or
Right.
product, they were open to trying. So we were like, okay, so some people were a little hesitant to dive into the cannabis industry, but we thought of, well, how could we get them through our doors to try our product, but another way? So we added in a service
Right.
that they could come do that. And we started, the first service we ever offered was chair massages.
Yeah.
And we did that once a week. But it drove traffic and people came in and we got to we got to talk to them about our product. And then we wound up adding more and more services because we saw that the services we're helping increase the sales of our product. So try to think, is there maybe a service or another product that your target audience also would attract that same target audience that you can drag traffic to your business? And that's a big differentiator. There was not any other CBD store in the area that was offering these types of services. So it set us apart immensely from the beginning. All right, and then take a look at your skills and strengths. Is there something that you're really good at that you could capitalize on at your business? Is it having those personal one-on-one conversations with your customers? Is it entertaining and delighting your customers? Maybe you're a great teacher and putting on classes at your business would be great. Maybe it's, decorating. Maybe you can have an insane decorated business that people love to come see and take pictures at. Look at your skills and strengths and see if you can utilize one of those to really set your business apart. All right, so here's a few examples for you. Rachel was somebody that we worked with. She was opening a wellness spa. She primarily did facials and massages and things like that. As we all know, that's a highly competitive market. I think we all probably have massage studios in our backyard. So she really wanted to find a way to differentiate herself. She was big into cycling and she was really good at it and involved in her community. So she decided to focus her niche on the fitness and sports recovery for massages. That way she was already out in the community. It was something that she had a skill and expertise at and could talk about, and then tailor her experience towards that. So when people came to get massages, she could really make it sports recovery related. All right. Example number 2 was Tim and Aaron. So they had a clothing boutique that was higher end, but there was a lot of other clothing boutiques. They were in like a downtown area where it was kind of boutique after boutique. So they wanted something a little different. So they wound up providing like a one-on-one styling experience for their customers. People could book those appointments in advance, and they wound up being really big. I think they wound up even charging for the consultations. They started free and then went to charging.
Right.
But it was a great way to set them apart and provide that higher end experience and just make people think it was higher end.
Yeah, it was crazy. They were paying them to come into their store. It was such a genius. It did so well for them.
Yeah, it was a great way to differentiate themselves. But there's just so many things you can do. These are just a few tiny examples, but I want to know, just from what you've heard, how do you want to differentiate your business? Is there anything that you feel that you can lean on, any expertise that you can tap into? Is there any competition that's lacking somewhere that you can take and take advantage of? Tell us in the chat. I want to see your all's ideas. Thought about having small events. I love that, Corey.
100%.
Events are great, and that's something that a lot of people don't do. Angelina, no competition. Well, that is amazing.
Let's go. Not until you start to succeed, right?
I will say yes. Even if you don't have competition, I would still start to think of those ways to differentiate yourself, because we didn't have any when we first started, and then boom, it happened. So just try to keep that in the back of your head. Customer service and having classes on how to make. Oh, I love that. Classes are phenomenal. Provide a French fun activity for kids. That is so great. Oh, kids are a great way to drive traffic, Audrey, and I know you're thinking of a restaurant. That's genius. We have flavor stations and the best syrup. I like that. Flavor stations, anything interactive like that with that experience. And if you can set yourself apart with that, that's great. Quality of jewelry at lower prices. You've thought about this, I can tell, Tanya. I love it. Excellent customer service.
Always.
Hosting in-office lunch and learns. Yes, that's great. Cater to the first responders. Oh, I love that. Yes, you can absolutely find those niches to cater to. Main business is a tea parlor, adding boutique and baked goods. Love that. That's something that's very different and unique. Oh, you guys are awesome. I love that you guys have obviously been thinking about this, but just continue to know that that is your niche in the back of your mind as you move forward in this entire process. And remember to lean in and capitalize on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In your marketing,
in your marketing, in your customer experience, in how you sell. Tell them your niche, your differentiator. Tell them that so that they know, so they continue to come back.
I love this. I could read those chat
forever. Love the chat.
Okay, so far we've done location radius, defining your niche. Now we're moving on to decision number 3, probably the most vital and important thing of today.
Yes, for sure. So what this is going to be defining your ideal customer avatar. And we're not talking the 8-foot blue people here. We're talking about the customer profile. So let's go on to the next slide here. What is an ideal customer avatar, right? We're not talking James Cameron. An ICA is a fictional character that represents your dream customer. It's a detailed description of who you want to sell your products or services to. All right. You can't sell your dream customer until you know who that is. So, who is your dream customer? That's what we're looking at. How do I go about creating an ideal customer avatar? Well, I'm going to tell you. Step number one, you want to gather as much information as possible about your target customer. Okay. How do we go about doing that? Once again, guys, interviews, surveys, right? Basically ask the questions. I know we talked about surveys yesterday, or in person, however, just in a conversation about that. So conduct those 5-minute
Yeah,
interviews.
so I love to go out there and like if I know somebody that absolutely loves my pies, I'm gonna go interview them because I know that they're my ideal customer. I'm gonna ask them things like, how often do you buy pies? Where do you go to buy pies? What are your favorite places to shop at? What podcast do you listen
And
to?
why?
Yeah.
Why? Always ask that question. Why? Well, why is that? Well, because they have the best selection, or because they have the best
Yeah.
customer service, and not just. Well, I like to go to ABC Bakery. Well, why?
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy in there that I think's cute, or whatever. Whatever. But it's important to ask the why question always.
And the whole idea here is to really get to know them, what motivates them, where do they hang out, what social media platforms are they using, what books are they reading.
Yeah.
The more that you know about your ideal customer, the more you can meet them where they're at to sell them and attract them.
Where are they in real life, and where are they online?
Mhm.
Since our customers go to, they work out, they go to games, they do things like that. So that's, where else are they besides in your store?
Yeah.
Right. Another one you want to do is monitor social media for sure. And then analyze your competitors' customers, always, leaning on our competitors for sure.
So monitoring social media, like anytime you see your product brought up on like the group, I go look at that page, like, oh, they're talking about CBD. What are they talking about? What are their questions that
Right.
they have? Who are these people? Are they young? Are they older? Pay attention to those things and start to notice what types of demographics, if they mention anything that has to do with your product or service or something similar. Just throwing that in there.
No, for sure. No. And then the last one is what for existing businesses, definitely tap into that Google Analytics tool, and then you can
Yeah.
double down. And that's kind of the idea, right?
So Google Analytics is a tool that you can use if you already have a website. So if you are already selling online, you can use Google Analytics and it'll actually tell you the demographic information of those who are visiting your website. So that gives you a great picture of who's already visiting, so that you can gather more information there. And then on the analyze your competitors' customers, go to their businesses, go to their social media sites and see what types of customers that they have. You can find a lot of demographic information there. All right, so once you've gathered information, then you want to create a detailed customer profile. So this is going to include things like what are their demographics, what are their goals, what are their pain points, what are they struggling with, what motivates them to get out of bed in the morning. And you want to write this down, like just a summary, almost like you're writing a little book. We'll write it down and write it out as if like we're writing out a person,
Yeah, for sure. Like a literal person. Yeah. I mean, you want to visualize it and actually put yourself through it, visualize them coming through your store. And then how do we get many more of them,
And the whole point of doing this is so that every decision moving forward, you can say with this person, with my ideal customer like this, anytime we add in a product or service, we would say, would our ideal customer buy this? Would our ideal customer use this service? If we consider changing the paint colors, would our ideal customer like this? If we have a marketing vendor come to us, we ask them, do you have my ideal customer? Do you have people ages 30 to 55? That read this? Are they primarily female? Or, once you know these things, then you can know like, okay, my demographic isn't on Facebook, so I'm not even going to focus my efforts there.
Right.
Every single decision becomes more and more clear when you've taken the time to do this. And this is something we didn't do in the very beginning. We were throwing out marketing anywhere left and right, seeing
Right.
what would stick anywhere that we could. And we lost a lot of money doing that. And we finally sat down and did this, I think 1 to 2 years in, and it changed our marketing efforts immensely. So don't make the same mistake we did.
Right.
Take the time to do this early and let every decision flow from that. So this is just an example. This was a customer we helped that was opening a yoga studio. Now, this is very detailed, but I wanted to show you this example so that it just gives you an idea of how detailed you can take this. So, we have the demographic information of the age, the gender, location, what their occupation is most likely to be, what their income level is. Then we took a look at the psychographics, like what they were into. They were time conscious. They had a they believed in work-life balance. They were very community minded. So they liked gathering at events. And then we continued on with what their preferences were, like what styles of workouts that they were into. They were into convenience. They liked upscale. All of these things are huge. And the motivations is one thing that I really love to do as well. Like health and wellness, they aim to improve their overall health and wellness, increase their strength, and reduce their stress levels, motivated by tangible outcomes and measurable progress. Knowing these things really helps you drive even how you write on social media and who you're talking to, and tailoring every single thing that you do in your business. All right, anything to add there?
No, and like you said, we've pivoted on this too as well. I know we talked about that yesterday a little bit. As your customer, you might not have your ideal customer, it might not be the person that you're driving in, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We originally went towards something very similar to this profile, and I think it's moved a little bit. And it's funny because as we moved into the services, it did kind of pivot to a little bit. It was a lot more diverse. I
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
it didn't fit this profile as much. And honestly, we went with that initial profile because they were the heads of household,
Yeah.
and we felt that it lined up with where Capel was, and they were the head, they made the decisions, they bought for the pets, all that stuff. So that's all of it lined up all the way up, all the way down.
I think that's a great point, that your ICA can evolve over time.
Right.
So this is something you can continue to reevaluate, but do it for now, what you're going to be offering now. And then if you ever add in, big product lines or service lines, you can always reevaluate if your target customer is changing. So give us some characteristics or ideas on who your ideal customer is. Demographics, what motivates them, maybe their preferences, where they're hanging out. Put it in the chat and let us know if you have any thoughts that are bubbling up while listening to this on who your ideal customer might be. Who's your ideal customer?
My ideal customer?
At home t-shirt makers and hobbyists like that. People who eat gluten-free, yes.
Nice.
That's a big market.
Nice niche. Like
yes. Married with 2.5 children. Love it. Age 25 to 50, families and gamers. Mild age, young people and elderly. Jewelry lovers. Yes. These are great. I just challenge you to keep taking it a step further.
Yeah, Christina, what demographic is your typical jewelry lover? Is that what do they look like?
Yeah, and what other things do they buy? Or do
Right.
they also love purses? Keep going with it down that rabbit hole to see more and more and more. Women who like shoes, love that. People looking for high-end baked goods. Vegan 20 plus, aware of what they are eating and drinking, love that. So you can take that even further and say, okay, where are people that are vegan and 20 plus hanging out? Where are they working out? What podcasts are they listening to? All of these things are huge. You guys are on the right track. I love this.
Nice.
Awesome. You guys are killing it. Okay, let's move on to decision number 4, which is developing your budget. Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed here. This is just to help you get a starting point. I think one of the biggest things that hold people back from even starting is thinking that they have a tremendously high upfront cost in front of them And a lot of times when they finally put pen to paper and put it all down, they realize it's not going to be as astronomical as they thought. So the whole goal here is to just get pen to paper so that you can understand what your startup budget is.
Yeah, the goal is not necessarily even the numbers here. We want to just show you the things that you should consider so that you don't forget them and you're not shocked or not shocked by the amount, but like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that for us were like, darn. And they weren't huge things. It was just stuff that you didn't necessarily consider.
Yeah. So we are focusing for this startup budget. It's the startup cost, what it's going to cost you to go from your idea to get your doors open to your business. So what are the costs that you need to spend to get there, to get to day one of your doors opening? So to help with this, we have provided a budget cheat sheet. You can find it located in the workbook. This is a Word document that you can open, you can edit, you can print out, you can write on, whatever you prefer, but download this document. Now, this is a guide for you. This is not going to be you may not have to spend money on every single area in this. You may not have equipment that you need to purchase. You may not have a lot of decorating that you need to do, or maybe there are no hiring costs. It's just going to be you. So take a look at this list and go through, and if there's any areas that don't pertain to you, cross it off. But all I want you to do is on the budgeted column, just write an estimation. And if that means you need to jump on Google and look up, what is the typical utilities cost for a business in my area, do that. Just get a high level estimate. It's always good to kind of overestimate on that, but this will help you start somewhere so that you can get started. Now, this is probably one of the most important things that I can tell you, but I do encourage you to include a small emergency fund in your budgeted expenses. It's almost time and time again, something small will pop up.
Yeah,
yes.
Sorry.
You find out that you need another permit that you didn't think of, or you get your inspection and you find out you need to replace some outlets. There's just those little things that are going to pop up here and there. And if you have that budgeted, then it won't derail you and cause, a mental roller coaster. You can just know, hey, I budgeted for this. I knew something was going to come up. So try to offset, even $500 for something.
Yeah, you go through your inspection or whatever, and you realize you need some $300 specific. The fire extinguisher or something. Yeah. It's just you just never know. It's good to have that.
Ours was a restroom sign. We failed our first inspection for our first business because we were missing a restroom sign. So
you couldn't tell where it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that story's for another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, this is probably one of the best pieces of advice that we give out, and it is to start simple now, get fancy later.
Yeah.
When you are getting started, I know how easy it is to think that you need the most extravagant, high end, you need new ceiling tiles, you need new hardwood floors, you want to make
Speaking from experience, yes.
Yes,
100%.
These are things that I wanted to do. And, I wanted to hire someone to build a beautiful counter instead of having Kyle put it together. I wanted to.
It's still standing, by the way.
I wanted to get new furniture. I wanted the fancy waterfall in the corner, but I'm here to tell you, scrap all of that. It is not needed to get you into business, and you can always add things in later. Your business will grow with you. So don't put yourself in a bad position as you get started. So after you create your budget and fill out that cheat sheet, I actually want you to go back to it and ask yourself, is this expense required for me to open the doors to my business? Is this expense going to bring me a return on the investment, or is this just a nice to have? If it is a nice to have, consider putting it off till later. And look, our business, when we first opened, it looks nothing like it did. It has completely transformed, but we added things in as we went.
Right.
A year in, we added a bunch of furniture. We've gotten new decor. We are now upgrading our counter 5 years later. But we've gotten by, and customers didn't notice those tiny little things. Now, I'm not saying slap up a fold out table and use that as your cash register. we do want it to be aesthetically pleasing.
Sure.
But can you do a, $100 count or a $500 counter instead of a 5,000? Yes,
Right.
you can. So,
Right. Are you shopping at home versus shopping at Ethan Allen, right? I mean, like just there's you got to get creative with it, especially in the build out phase for sure. But like, people don't walk in and go, ooh, look, there's a $500 chest or whatever. It's like, I'm gonna spend more. It's just they don't see it.
yeah.
They just don't see it. That's not what they're there for. So
So think of ways that you can cut back and where making sure that everything that you're spending money on in the beginning is actually needed and vital and going to get you a return on
right.
investment. All right. So what is one thing that you are going to commit to taking action on today? What's one thing that you learned? Is it going and finding your location radius? Is it sitting down and thinking about your ideal customer avatar profile? Maybe writing it down. Are you going to dive in a little bit into your customers' reviews and go figure out where there's a gap that you can fill? Or is it the budget cheat sheet? I'm seeing a lot of the budget cheat sheet.
Right.
Yes. Do I enter these costs as yearly costs, monthly? So for this, Susie, we're just looking at the budget from now until your doors are open. We've got another template that we'll talk to you about tomorrow that you can use once you're open. So just think of what is the expenses that you need to pay yourself to get the doors open.
Get the doors open is
Yeah.
what we're looking for sure. For sure. And I know we can dig further into this stuff as well. I know these are pretty important things. I don't want to say we just glossed over, but there's different certainly to dig in on. And if you guys do have questions on that stuff as you get to working on it tonight, bring them tomorrow. We'll be happy to clarify and stuff, just for the sake of time. And we want to give you guys some of these actionable items and it may feel like we're glossing over, but if we need to dig in on anything, please just let us know tomorrow.
Yes. So one thing I highly recommend that you do before tomorrow is secure that location radius, because tomorrow we're going to go a little deeper into exactly what to look for when you're literally touring locations,
right,
and how to start going about that process. So if you have that location radius, it's just going to make tomorrow even simpler and easier. All right. It's Q&A time. So let's dive into some questions. Get your questions in the chat. Anything we talked about today, yesterday, any brick and mortar business question in general, get them in the chat and let's dive in. Let's see. Okay, I think we have Janet. Does the 5-mile radius apply to an online business? No, Janet. So this is just going to be for your brick and mortar business. If you are online, the world is your oyster. So, and we are not necessarily experts in the online space.
Yeah.
We definitely have used online, a hybrid model with brick and mortar, and I highly recommend you do that. And a lot of times you'll see more local visitors because of that.
Yeah. Christina, I would just say I started with Google. Honestly, I'll just do Capel demographics or DFW demographics, and then there's, so many. Or
say what her question was.
Yeah, the question was, where do I go for household income? It's public data. All you got to do is just snap it into Google, like Capel household income, with your city household income, and it'll bring it right up. And everybody else knows about it. So when people were trying to get in, it was pretty funny because it was certain areas got to be more competitive and stuff when we were doing.
We were in a franchise, so we had to secure a location before other people. So it became competitive on who wanted what location when we were in the franchise.
Because it was because of the average income, the average household income. It's a huge determining factor on where you want to be.
Yes.
That and overall.
Definitely Google. Yeah. Okay. Jackie, is a website a necessity for brick and mortar store? So Jackie, I would say at least a simple 1-page like landing page is a necessity. And you can do this very inexpensively, even if you're not tech savvy. You can just have a 1-page website. So when people go, one of your most vital places to be visible, and we will we walk our clients through this process is getting on Google My Business. And when people go to Google My Business, one of the most clicked areas is on website.
Right.
And when people don't see a website there, they tend to discredit your business and
Right.
think, man, you're not a real business. And they tend to just move on to the next one. So having somewhere that people can click on Google My Business to go to, and just a simple page that says, this is who we are, this is what we do, here's a picture, see, my business is real, it's not some, brand in the back of an alley. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people come in and be like, well, your website just looked better, so I decided to come with you. Your reviews were about the same, but your website just looked better, so that's why I'm here. And that was, yeah, for sure. And it's not overly, I mean, it tells a story about us and there's different things about
Very
it.
simple,
It was very basic, yeah.
But, and that's something that you can improve with over time, but having somewhere that people can go to see is very important. But you can start simple on that.
Oh,
Good question, Tamara. Tanya, how do most people get funding for business? So Tanya, you definitely we missed one. I'm sorry. We'll come back to you, Tamara. Tanya, we will be diving into everything about funding Friday. So I want you to try to join us live Friday. We're going to go over all the different ways that you can fund your business, from investors to grants to loans, to saving and budgeting on your own. So there's lots of different ways that you can go about it. And we've seen people be successful in many, many different ways. So join us for that. I don't want to dive too deep and give away all the nuggets for Friday, but we will be covering that because that is an important topic.
Tamara, do you have to have a realtor necessarily for brick and mortar? No. We talked about this on the third, one of the episodes of the podcast. We go into pretty big depth of this, the Receipt Paper podcast. Check it out. No, we've done it both ways. The first one we did, and the guy just didn't move fast enough for us. And we were, as we were blowing and going, he couldn't keep up. Did we learn a ton from him on the first one? Yes. But it held us up on negotiations, and there's all kinds of pros and cons to it.
We're actually going over some of those pros and cons tomorrow when we dive into location. But I will say, yes, if you have the right realtor, and if you're leasing your space, it's not necessary. If you're buying your space, I would use a realtor. But if you're leasing it, a lot of times realtors get paid from commissions from the lease. So the landlord, hate to say it, but they often do factor that into your lease, and you're going to not get as good of discounts because they're paying a realtor. So that is just my honest opinion on using a realtor, is that you're not going to necessarily get as good of a rate on your lease. Now, sometimes if you have a phenomenal realtor that's a powerhouse at negotiating, then it's worth it. But you're not always guaranteed to get a great commercial realtor.
Right. And in the market now, they're commercial, they're trying to try, I don't know, from what I've heard, they're kind of trying to get rid of the stuff. So it might not be they're not trying to hold on as much. But I would say in the beginning, it was worth it for us because we learned a lot, but now there's just no way. There's just no way.
All right, LaShonda, should I consider the amount of traffic to my associated radius spot? Should that be a big factor? Because the area I'm targeting is high traffic.
You want high traffic.
Yeah, you want high traffic. So yes, you should absolutely factor that in. So when you're looking at like population, you can look at things like daytime population and nighttime population. So how many people are frequenting that area? How many people are driving in that area during the day? Or how many people are in that area at night? Those are big things to consider.
That's a big micro thing too, as well, right? And when you look at these properties, most of the properties will have like the estimated amount of cars that drive by that street too. So they know all that. And so the answer to your question, I would say yes and no. It's not, it's a lot more in the micro level as opposed to the macro level. You want to be somewhere, I think, with the radius. I think the demographics play a little bit more with that, right? The overall population and the overall, I would think overall population and average household income is probably a little bit better for us, was a more efficient dictator, for lack of a better term, but micro, we definitely looked at the amount of traffic. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good thinking
But yeah,
there.
that's a great question though.
Tanya, how long did it take to open your store?
Which one?
So we move fast. We are
Really
about
fast.
not moving quickly. Once we get the keys to our unit, we know that the clock is ticking.
Right.
So we always try to negotiate free rent up front.
Right.
And we want to take advantage of that. So our first store we got once from the time we had the idea to the time we opened, it was probably about 4 months. From the time we got the keys to the day we opened, it was less than 30 days that we turned that around. And then when we got to by the time we got to our third business, we did it in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, we did it in 6 days. I got keys to running credit cards one time in like 6 days.
Now,
a lot of that has to do with the build out
Yes.
though, and I had a lot of help. It was a partner deal. So with that,
Yeah.
but like this, we have a guy who's at our Capel stores two units over, and he's been kicking around there for 6 months, and I'm like, bro, like,
yeah,
what are we doing? Like, clearly you're paying rent, and not so. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
once
So-
you get those keys, it's.
But yes, if we had the services, I would say once you get the keys, we always advise you to ask for minimum 3 free months of rent upfront. And if you can get your build out done within that 3 months, that's ideal.
Right.
So that is a concession that landlords will give you, and they are used to giving that out. Sometimes you can get it all the way up to 5 months. So the goal is always to get your build out done before you're actually being charged that rent cost.
Right. Better
Okay.
to buy or rent. Talked about this yesterday a little bit. I mean, it just depends.
It depends if you have the money to make the investment without putting you in a tough place. I think it can be a long-term investment for property, but you have to look at it that way. So it's hard to know without knowing the location, but personally, we have always rented. It just made more sense feasibly in our locations, but we are in a very high metro area.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot of commercial properties for sale.
We are considering if we do the we do the rebed or move or whatever, the bigger facility, we're definitely considering that. But that's really only because the specifics of how we have to,
Long term.
just the long term and specifically what we do.
Okay. Oh, Janet, I feel your pain on this one. Is there a secret to getting the real estate agents to respond to your inquiry about a location? I know how frustrating this is because sometimes it's like, do you even get paid to do this? Because you are not responding. But I will say, try to be just persistent. There was a point where there was a location that I knew we wanted so bad, and I was calling all day, every day, leaving voicemails, following up with emails. So you can't be afraid to be relentless on that. You don't want to piss them off or be rude. You want to be nice and professional, but persistency is okay to continue to reach out to them. But don't waste too much time. If they haven't responded to, if you've reached out to them 8 times, 8 calls and emails, move on to the next one and don't waste your time.
If you're hot and heavy about it, call the place that they work for. You can kind of work your way up the chain, or walk inside and say, who's your landlord? And ask them and see if you really want to go around and you really walk into another one of the tenants, say, who's your landlord? Well, I'm thinking about renting this place, like whatever, just how bad you want it,
Yeah. Stay persistent.
Yeah.
Keep at it. It is a process, but you can do it. I believe in you. Okay, April, what are the typical to-dos or task lists of the daily life of brick and mortar?
Oh my gosh.
It's very different for both of us. Kyle definitely manages more of the front of house operations, like actually being at the store for services and products.
Clean.
It's cleaning, making sure products are set out and up front. Managing that inventory. We do inventory like once a week, just making sure we need to buy products.
Honestly though, like now I feel like I'm on I don't know, I don't say autopilot, but now it's like the biggest thing for me is just getting me right. You know what I'm saying? Like doing like,
Your-
yeah, getting my mental space right, making sure that I'm taking care of myself, making sure that, I'm working out, that I'm meditating, doing the things that get me to where I can really function, because it's a long grind, and the last thing you want is to, kind of go through that or put that on your customers.
Yeah,
It's the basic, daily opening stuff. Do we have the cash? Do we have this? Do we have that?
in the beginning, that can be seem like a lot, but like you said, it kind of
It's autopilot at this point.
very fast. Some of the back end, like I do a lot of the back end stuff. So like I'll do, the payroll every 2 weeks. I do managing, communicating with employees on their schedule, marketing. So that's my big thing. I do like emails every week, social media. So, and it's nice if you have somebody you can offset some of that stuff too. Like we divide it up, so you're not doing so much. But, in general, your day there's some things that you can be proactive about, but a lot of your day at a brick and mortar business is reactive. It's
So reactive,
who's
yes.
gonna come into your store that day, what conversations are you gonna have, what needs are your customers going to have. And that's what I love about it so
Yeah.
much, is it really like you just never really know where the day is going to take. You never know if you're gonna, we have an idea of how many customers we get every day, but some days are super busy and it's really fun. And other days are slower, which we don't freak out anymore because it allows
Some
us
days
just
the
to catch
power
up.
is out, or some days you just never know, or
Yeah.
we have these massive Texas freezes. Who knows? It's just you just kind of. I don't get too much. I try to stay a lot more open, because if I set out to that I need to get this done and I get deviated from it, man, that can throw me for a loop. It really
Yeah.
can. So it goes back to me just being in the right state to kind of deal with all of it. To
Yes.
be honest.
Fun question. All right, Christina, is foot traffic better than being a destination location?
Yeah, of course, foot traffic.
I would always choose foot traffic
Sure.
better, foot traffic over that. Now, if you have a large customer base that will travel to your destination, that's something you can consider. But if you're just starting out, choose foot traffic, always. When you're looking at locations, and we'll dive into this tomorrow, I know a lot of first time owners will want to go with a location that's a little less visible, a little harder to find because it's a little lower in rent. And I'm telling you, you will wind up spending just as much, if not more, on marketing in the long run to try to get people in that business. So if you can find a location that's high in traffic, choose that all day over any other location.
Right.
Even if the rent is a higher rent, it's worth it.
You're gonna pay 10x that in marketing to drive people there. Some of the, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but like, you can't like, you, you can't outmarket a terrible location, or, and we've seen some places that are horrible, but their location is fantastic, that they just do so well because they're just there, and it just made sense. So there's, I mean,
Yes.
having people there immediately is perfect.
Okay, I think we'll go about 10 minutes over today. So we've got some questions that I want to get through. Let's see, the next question, who are your best people to get funding for a business? Are we talking like grants and loans? I'm guessing we're going to go over that on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday,
So definitely
sure.
stay tuned for that. We'll be diving into all about funding Friday. So let's hold off there. But don't worry, we're going to cover it. How do you get known on Google? I've struggled with Google My Business because we don't have a location besides our home. Okay, so if you're a home-based business, I don't necessarily recommend using Google My Business to push I think that you can do it in other ways, like Google AdWords that go directly to your online store, or things like that. But okay, so yeah. So yes, I wouldn't use Google My Business until you have a physical business to direct them to personally. Yeah.
Unless you want them showing up at your house.
There is a way that you can make it to where it doesn't show your physical address, but I'm not positive on how I think you have to set yourself as a specific like service provider, instead of like a physical store is. We do have a Google My Business expert that we work with to bring in and, do,
Specific stuff.
do conversations,
Yeah.
do talks with, so that is, something we could reach out to him about.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any of your business locations actually built for you? We have not, no. We have worked with clients who have gone into new builds, so they were like new construction where the
Yeah.
space had to be, you needed plumbing, they needed
Yeah,
electrical.
full on
walls.
float centers with, GFCI and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Of that, opposite directional pumps and all that stuff. We've seen it before. I have.
So we have worked with people on that, and that is really nice if you have a very custom build out that you need. It's excellent because then you're just starting new and you're starting fresh. And a lot of times those landlords will give you that allowance to finish the build out the way you want it. So we've seen a lot of people really benefit from that. I mean, they wound up spending less than they probably would have to take a second generation unit, which a second generation unit just means that somebody's already been there before. And we have to redo the construction there. That can be a lot more costly.
We've picked specific locations because of the existing build out worked well for us. And that led to us burning and burning, getting open as fast as possible. That was part of a lot of it.
All right, next question, Audrey. I built a clientele in the town where I am. Is it smart to get a store in a nearby town that has a better household income and more of my ideal customers? That's a tough question. I'd have to understand, if you built a clientele in the town where you are, it sounds like you do have some of your ideal customers where you are. So, I think you just have to evaluate are there enough ideal customers? Is the demand high enough in the town that you are in? If so, then keep it where you've already started to build your customer base. If that demand isn't going to be high enough, then you can look at the nearby towns and take a look at, is there more demand in that area? If there's going to be a lot more demand, then I'd consider.
Or see if they're willing, or see if your customers are willing to travel too, the existing ones, I mean, that might be a valid question to ask. So it's not like you have one or the other. How many can you migrate away, stuff like that? How many would be willing to, go there for you,
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
Okay, what's the best way to find a customer avatar when you have customers from different age groups? Great question. So some clients that we work with will actually create multiple ideal customer avatar profiles. So if you strongly feel that you have two different profiles, like maybe you do have the working busy moms, but you also have the young trendy men. I don't know. I'm just throwing out different.
Who has more money?
So you'll want to look at, you can go write the detailed profiles if you truly feel that you have two. But I'd start with one that is your primary age group. Like you always typically have a primary, like, and then you'll have a secondary. Like our primary is always like our older, but our younger demographic is right underneath and very close. But our primary is our older.
We don't pivot towards the younger demographic for us because the specific products that they buy aren't as high per dollar or per transaction. So we lean towards, the goal for us is to get the person who comes in, and we're trying to get to like an average of $65 per transaction at one point. And that's how that was built. And we felt that we made the decision that they were in, the person that we went with was in not a better financial position, but they were more willing to spend and have the kind of extra income to buy the higher ticket goods.
Great question. All right. How much money should one be generating before considering a brick and mortar? This is a tough question because, like, for us, we weren't generating any money with our business. We started out as a brick and mortar. I think the more important question is to ask how much money how long do you have before you need, like, I'm wording that was wrong. The expenses, how long can you fund the expenses at your business before you have to start getting a return?
Right.
And so if that means you're only going to be able to be in business to pay your operational expenses like your rent and yourself for 2 months before you get a return, you want to make sure that you have that savings ready. Most people, I would say, need to be able to pay for 6 months of themselves. Some businesses we see take off and they get that return right away.
Right.
Some it takes a little longer. So you just need to know, how long is it going to take for you to see that startup budget returned so that you can start making money, right?
Yep, sure.
Yes. Okay, Jackie, what are your thoughts on signing up with,
Yelp.
is that Yelp?
Gotta be.
I'm not a fan of
Nah,
Yelp.
I'm not a fan of Yelp.
To be honest, we spent a lot of money there in our first year of business, and I thought it was pretty big waste of money.
Yeah.
I'm a bigger fan of things like Google AdWords. I think that's much better to put your money in. Yelp just, I think that they're way too costly for
We didn't get ROI. We just
the
didn't get
cost
ROI.
per click is really not high, and I don't think that it winds up driving a ton of traffic in
Yeah.
most scenarios.
At least for our, I mean, and maybe in restaurants and stuff like that, it might be a little bit different. But just in our experience, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'd say most customers we work with would
Yeah,
agree.
it's just, yeah.
But for anything like that, if you want to test something out, I always say test something for 3 months. Give it a full 3 months and start with a very small budget. So, give yourself $200 for 3 months to see if it works for you, and then make the decision after 90 days to either continue it and grow and increase your budget, or to nix it. So 90 days is always a good evaluation period. Most of the customer base is in a totally different state. Do not have many local customers than I do online, so I'm assuming more marketing will be needed on my part. Yes, it sounds like if a lot of your online customers are currently in other states, but I would take a look, Christina, what demographics those customers are. Like, who are they? What age groups? Where are they hanging out? And that will help you decipher what marketing, how to market to your ideal customer in your area. And then you'll know where to market, and it can go by. Sorry, our dog's wagging his tail over here. So then you'll know exactly where to market. I hope that helped you. Okay, let's do this last question in here, and then we've got some giveaways for you guys. So where could a business find discount equipment for their new business? When you say equipment, let me know in the chat what you mean. Are we talking like shelving and counters, or something different? We do have on our website, we have an our favorites page. This will lead you to like our favorites as far as retail displays and things like that you can find pretty inexpensively on Amazon. Like stove, fridge, freezer. I would honestly look at Marketplace for things like that. Look for commercial fridges, commercial freezers. I'll get back to you in the Facebook group too. There's a place that we used for some commercial fridges, and it was pretty discounted. So I'll get back to you in the Facebook group on that. All right, great questions again. I just love the energy and the excitement and what you guys are all thinking. Stephen, we got one more question. We'll answer this one real quick. How long should we sign a lease for when starting?
How long are they gonna let you,
So the longer you sign the lease, typically the lower the rate you can get, and you'll be locked in at that lower rate. So that's a huge benefit.
Right.
Now, when we first were starting off, we were in an industry that we had no idea if it was going to still be around in 3 years. So you have to look at the risk factors. Is your business viable to last for 5 years? Is your industry going to have any dramatic shifts or changes? If not, taking the risk on your business. Sometimes I think a lot of us let fear hold us back from making a decision. And, we have fear naturally because it's there to protect ourselves. But sometimes we have to question ourselves on, is that fear really protecting me or is that fear hurting me?
Right.
And sometimes, that 5-year lease, signing that is actually going to benefit you in the long run. And, I don't want to put anybody in a bad position here, but I'm just telling you, there are ways to get out of leases. So, if that just helps you sleep a little bit better at night, that's not a guarantee, but there are options. And so I hate to see people sign like a 1-year lease and then really regret it down the long run. But you know what? If you sign a 1 or 3-year lease and you re-sign, we did a 3-year lease and we re-signed for another 5 years and our rates didn't increase astronomically. So do what's going to help you sleep at night and not put you or your business in a bad situation. That was a really long answer.
Long answer. Yeah.
All right. Awesome questions. I'm loving all of this excitement. Okay, let's take a look at our giveaway winners. Okay, Abriana has shared with us our winners, and the winners of our Amazon gift cards are Tanya Brown and Melanie Latham. Woohoo! So if you guys could send us your emails, or I think we have your emails, we will be emailing that gift card for you, Melanie and Tanya. Congratulations. Woohoo! Awesome. Tomorrow we're giving away some more gift cards, and we have a special invitation for you on how you can continue to get support with us for the next 10 weeks. So we're going to share that with you tomorrow. Tomorrow's all about location, and it's a really, really, really important one. So make sure you join us. Have a great day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.